Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Mike and this is Mike's After Action Reviews. And today we're going to do something just a little bit different. So in order to have full disclosure, I just want to let you guys know that this month was a short month in my review cycle. Basically what happened was Outriders came out on the 1st, and I also have Returnal coming out on the 30th of this month. And so today is the 24th, and I have 4 reviews to do before Returnal comes out. I have Outriders, which is what I'm doing right now, the Subnautica After Action Review, Mortal Kombat, and the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I'm going to try to do later on tonight after doing this video. So all of those things put together, plus a huge amount of technical difficulty with the game Outriders, led me to basically getting to the 15th of the month and having only played a few hours of the game Outriders. Most of that issue was the technical difficulties. So what I decided to do in order to get you guys a review of the game out without there being huge amounts of delays, I have played as much as I could of the game and have stopped. This means that I have not played through the entire campaign of the game as I normally would, and I have not been able to get the entire story of the game. Now what I did do was go online and look up all of the story, and I have played enough of the combat. Well, I've played enough of the game that I feel like I have a competent understanding of how the combat works. So, without further ado, this is Mike's After Action Reviews Rapid Action Review for Outriders. So, as always, guys, we are going to start with this game's core gameplay mechanic, which here is combat. Now, combat in this game revolves around 2 things: your character's powers and the guns. In this game, there are 4 classes which dictate which powers you have. So you have a Technomancer, which serves as a kind of sniper and support role. You have the Pyromancer, which is your mid-range fighter. And you have the Trickster, which is your agile melee attacker. Get in, do some damage with melee attacks and get out. And then you have the Devastator, which is your close-range tank. And now, while I do say things like Technomancer is the sniper support and Pyromancer is your mid-range attacker, that does not mean that the Technomancer can only use sniper rifles or that the Pyromancer cannot use sniper rifles. That is only pointing out how their abilities work and in what type of combat or which range of combat they are most effective in, with the Technomancer having longer range abilities and also more support abilities. Excuse me. The game also features a thing that I have not seen before, a progressing difficulty through what is called world tier. This basically means that as you progress through the game, you can level up your world tier. So at world tier 1, enemies are a certain level, have a certain amount of health, and do a certain amount of damage, and loot also has a certain level of rarity or likelihood to be really good stuff. Once you increase to world tier 2, you will then have higher level enemies, higher damaging enemies, higher health enemies, and better loot. The combat here has some confusing things for me anyway. I thought that these things were just a little bit odd in design. You have basically healing only comes through your abilities. Now this sounds really good, but the problem that happens from this is that when your abilities are on cooldown, which I think the cooldowns are too long, you end up having all of these enemies attacking you at once. You have no cooldown, or all of your abilities are on cooldown. You can't use your ability, and then you end up dying because there's no other way to heal than using those abilities. Another thing is, the idea is that, is this a cover-based shooter or not? So you have this whole heal through damage and overwhelming numbers of enemies. And then they add in this cover-based shooter feature, which just feels kind of out of place if you think about the fact that you're really just trying to kind of go ham and damage all your enemies with your melee attack. No matter what your class is, your melee attack serves as a power, so you will automatically heal from it. So you're, I don't know, it feels kind of weird through gameplay, and it's definitely something to get used to. As I already said, the cooldowns suck. There is an imbalance between the level of the normal enemies and the level of captains, which are kind of stronger enemies, more bullet sponge, you do more damage, and also have the ability to use powers, whereas normal enemies do not. Basically what this where this comes into play in the game is that the world tier, let's say you're world tier 3, you may play through and have normal, like good level of challenge with your enemies, and then you will play through and get to a part where there's a captain, which is not a boss, but just a, like I said, higher level, kind of a higher level, beefier enemy, and then it will be so difficult because of how overpowering they are and how they ignore cover and have the ability to use powers, which cooldown seem to be much faster than yours, and they also do more damage. So then you can get stuck in that area and have to turn the world tier down. Now, when you turn the world tier down, those enemies that did feel normal, like a good challenge, will all of a sudden become super easy, and then that captain will become like normal. So the imbalance there feels a little bit odd, and I kind of get where they're coming from, because this brings me to my next point, the special features in the game. And the first one that I want to point out right now is that this game actually is online only. Even if you're playing single player, playing by yourself, you're going to be online all the time, and that's why, so this game is designed for you to be played with friends, and that's why you have those imbalances, because you're not supposed to be fighting those captains by yourself. You're supposed to be fighting those captains with a team that is going to help you and be able to bullet sponge with you. You playing by yourself will get overwhelmed, and as I said, those cooldowns stop you from being able to heal properly. One of the special features in the game, though, that I want to talk about is like the skill tree. You kind of have that standard skill tree in which you follow a tree, branches of a tree to unlock newer abilities, increase your stats, things like that. So that's nice. Nothing special there, but it is there. You do have customizable guns, which does include the unique characteristics of the guns, because some guns have abilities such as hit an enemy, and if you kill them, it will turn their bones into grenades, exploding and doing damage to a bunch of enemies around them within a certain radius. That's all really awesome, really creative special abilities for the guns, and I really did enjoy that aspect. The execution of the rest of the game kind of brought the combat down, but at the same time I do have to identify that they did have some really cool ideas for the special characteristics of the guns. Another problem that I have, as I said, the online-only thing creates most of the problems in this game, including the technical issues. But also, something that I really hated was, even when you're single player, you cannot pause the game. So if you pick up a special piece of equipment and you say to yourself, hey, I want to use that equipment, that armor, that gun, you pause the game, well, you're still going to be getting attacked even though you're the only one playing the game. I think that sucks. I hate when game developers do that, where you have a single-player game, you can't pause, you can't do anything because it's online only. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I think it really did hinder the experience here. Moving on to the story. So full disclosure, as I said in the intro, I did not play through the entire game, but I did do a bunch of research to find out the story of the game, and actually the story is pretty decent. It's quite solid. I really wish that they had executed the combat a lot better. One thing that I was bothered by and that didn't make much sense to me is that there's a confusing story of how basically you come and colonize this planet, and you're part of a group called the ECA. When you get to the planet, things aren't exactly how they were supposed to be, and the game moves on from there dealing with those issues, but it gets so bad that there's a huge civil war that happens with the ECA, and a group breaks off and calls themselves the Rebels. It doesn't properly explain exactly why a group colonizing, and we're not talking about a small group, this is like millions of people, why this group of like 500,000 people broke off and became the Rebels when you should all be working together to try to survive this planet. It doesn't explain it properly, but the whole game basically takes place within the backdrop of this civil war. So I was like, they kind of brushed over that point without explaining it very well. Moving on to my final statements and my review score for the game. I would say that this is an average game. there are some generic parts of the game and technical issues, along with the imbalances with combat that I talked about, and that's kind of what stopped me from playing the game, mostly those technical issues, but also the fact that I kept on having to deal with those things as far as the imbalance and all of that stuff. I was unable to play most of the times that I logged on, and I also experienced quite a few crashes. I really do wish that the technical aspects of the game were done better, and the real reason that I keep pointing those out, because while I normally wouldn't factor those into my game review score, it's an integral part of the game because it's all online, and that's why the technical issues are there. So that's something that they needed to fix to make sure that the game runs smoothly and we as players had a better experience. If they would fix those imbalances, they did do a nerf early on in the game's cycle, because they've said that it's not really a live service, but they did change some things after the games came out. I think that nerfing the abilities was a mistake and ruined the experience for some people. And while the idea of the game is good, as I said, most of it feels pretty generic, pretty standard, almost paint by the numbers. They knew what systems they needed to have, so they made those systems like other games had those systems. But the story was decent enough. They just needed to execute better to get a better than average score. Probably with the combat being done a little bit better and the online only portion of the game being taken out, this could have gotten an above average. Nothing here makes it a below average or bad game. It's just the poor execution of the good idea that they did have kind of brought the score down for me. And I want to make it very clear, average game means that it is worth playing, but do beware, this is not anything excellent or anything to write home about. And it probably is more fun playing with a group of friends than playing the way that I did solo. But I have to rate it as I see it. I do think that the issues that I've brought up about the game, if they were removed, would make even the multiplayer more fun. So, there you have it. Average game. Hey guys, I hope that you really enjoyed that review, and hey, deja vu, if you've noticed I'm wearing the same shirt as I was wearing in the Mortal Kombat outro, that's because I just got finished recording the Mortal Kombat outro, and am now consecutively working on this one. So this game was an interesting one to review. I do hope that you enjoyed the review. I would say that if you're enjoying the game, good for you, but I do want to make it very clear, this is kind of similar to Cyberpunk, although I think that Cyberpunk, the actual features of the game made that game much better than this game by a lot. This is one of those games where the technical issues has an effect on whether you should even play the game or not. And it's a little bit different than Cyberpunk, because if it didn't have any of the technical issues, I would say, so separate the technical issues for a minute, and I'm clarifying my score. Separate from the technical issues, this is an average game. Nothing special, some irritating parts, a decent story that, kind of gets you there. Combat that I didn't enjoy as much and I thought was too tedious, and there were quite a few issues, and I outlined those in a review. Now, when you bring the technical issues in, which I've outlined as far as the online only being featured in the game is that's part of what the score itself is, the proper score is. But then when we bring in the technical issues, I am going to tell you, be warned. This is a game that I do not recommend as far as because of the technical issues. So maybe after it's fixed, I would say, yeah, go ahead and get it. But right now, I mean, even up till the last day that I played it, I was having problems with the game. So, keep that in mind. But I will also say that the game itself is just one of those, it's an average game, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but it's bland. And so it's probably it's like a bland average game that would be good for playing with friends. But if you're trying to get a story and like a halfway decent story, and then also combat that'll carry you through that story, it's one that you might want to pass on. especially like I said, because it's just the online thing. Oh, that's so irritating that they made the choice for the online only. But other than that, I just want to let you guys know. So I just released a Mortal Kombat After Action review. I'm actually going to be releasing it alongside this one. So I will put it's over here. I will put the link up here. So go check out the Mortal Kombat After Action review over there. And make sure if you like my content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so that way you can be notified of when I'm live streaming or putting out my reviews, which are the main focus of the channel. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I'm putting up updates for the channel all the time. Also, follow me on Twitch. At some point, I'm going to switch to only live streaming on Twitch, and then I will upload those live streams onto YouTube later, so they won't be live. So if you're following me on Twitch, you don't have to worry about that. You can always just find me live on Twitch when I live stream. Also, if you want to voice chat with me when I live stream, make sure to click that link in the description below. You don't have to worry about being recorded or anything on the Discord, because the only people that can hear you are myself in my headphones and any other members of the Discord, but it's not recorded. Instagram, Twitter. Oh, and also, guys, so as of recording this outro for this review, I have 212 subscribers. Once I hit 250, I'm doing a cash giveaway of $125. So tell your mama, your papa, your grandma, and all of your friends about the Action Pack. Get them to join Mike's After Action Reviews, and you'll become part of one of the coolest clubs in town, and you'll also be able to enter in to win those cash giveaways. The next game that I have coming out is Returnal, and that's on the 30th. I'm also still working on the Retro Action review for Subnautica, but I'm trying as hard as I can to get that out before Returnal comes out. I may have a situation of where I start live streaming Returnal, but I'm still working on Subnautica over the weekend. Hopefully, though, I can get it out before Returnal on the 30th. But, as always, guys, I just want to thank you for watching. If you're seeing this now, it's really great that you've watched this far. It means a lot to me. Make sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think of the channel. Any questions, comments, or concerns. I do read those, and I do make changes based on my audience's feedback. But, again, like I said, thank you very much, guys. And, as always, I just want to say God bless you all, and have a good night.